I'm Captain Hoff, CEO of Founderspace, the leading global startup accelerator. I'm also author of the award-winning books, Make Elephants Fly, Surviving a Startup, and The 5 Forces. Startup Rainmakers. Bringing in business is the lifeblood of any startup. As the CEO, what do you need to do to make it rain? Make it rain money. In this talk, I am going to show you how to close transformational deals and take your startup to the next level. Find out what they need. When you go in to talk to a potential customer or somebody you want to close a deal with, do not assume you know what they need. I see entrepreneurs do this all the time. They will go in there with their product, and just because the person agreed to meet with them, they think they want their product. So they spend the whole time focusing on selling their product. This is a mistake. Whatever you think is true may not be true. They may be meeting with you for an entirely different reason. You have to understand what's in their head so that you can position yourself rightly, and you also know if it's worth investing your time. A lot of times, you will spend a lot of time on business development with a big potential partner, only it's a mismatch because what they really want and what you want to sell them are two different things. Let me give you an example. You could go into a company and you could think, oh, they're meeting with me, so they want my product. I'm going to sell them this product. But in actuality, they're not that interested in the product. What they're interested in is your team and your know-how, and they want to take that and have you help them with some other problem. Or maybe they're interested in your underlying technology. Or perhaps they're interested in a strategic fit because they're trying to build an ecosystem and they want you to play a role in that ecosystem. You have to figure these things out, or you can end up spinning your wheels over and over and over and getting nowhere. I've seen this happen with entrepreneurs, and it's a real shame because finding out what they need is simple. You just have to ask them. You just have to ask them, what do you need? How do you want to work together? What are you looking at? What are your goals? Make sure to do this at first, when you first sit down with them from the very beginning, so that then you can plan out your strategy correctly. Seek out champions. If you are going to sell into a large corporation, a big company with tens of thousands of employees, or maybe even hundreds of thousands of employees, it really helps to have a champion. What I mean by a champion isn't just somebody who will take meetings with you, isn't just somebody who will listen to your product pitch and nod their head. This is somebody who will go to the mat for you. They will fight for you. They will push and push and push to get your product through. Without somebody like this on your team who is on the inside of the company, it can be very hard to sell a big deal to a big company. Let me tell you, in all my experience, when I've closed those big deals, almost invariably, I have had a champion inside. So finding and nurturing a champion is one of the first steps you need to do to close transformational deals. You need to figure out who in that company can really help you. Do they have the connections you need? Are they positioned? They don't have to be the decision maker, but they have to be able to have direct access to the decision makers. And even more importantly, they have to not be afraid to step forward and put their reputation on the line for you. This is a champion. If you find a champion, you need to back up that champion with everything you have. You need to educate that champion. Give them all the resources and materials you have so that they can be a proxy for you and actually go in there and close the deal on your behalf. Because a lot of times, the deal won't be closed in the meetings you're in. It'll be closed in some private meeting where they are discussing your offering and comparing it to other ones. And only with that champion, who's the person actually in the room at the time, can you secure the deal. So when you're targeting big companies, be on the lookout for that champion, that person who can really push your product or service all the way through. Know their win. If you want to find a champion in the real world, the first thing you need to understand is people don't do things for no reason. They always have a reason, and they have a reason that benefits themselves. So you need to understand what is their win. What is their psychology, the psychology of your champion? What are they going to get out of this deal at the end of the day? You may think it's great that they want to sell your product in, but they may have something else they want. And if you can figure that out and you can position yourself to actually deliver it to them, then you are actually helping them and it becomes a win-win situation. Let me explain. You may go in and be talking to somebody who you hope becomes your champion. What you want to figure out is what's inside their head. What do they need out of this deal? They may not care so much that the product is being used, your product as opposed to a competitor's product. In their mind, all the products may be similar. What they're interested in may be their own career. They want to get a promotion. They're looking for the company that they can recommend that won't embarrass them, right? That won't get pushback from their boss. The company that won't screw up, that will do a good job so that their reputation isn't damaged. Things like this, their reputation, whether they're jockeying for a promotion, how they relate to different people in their company, whether they want to raise their profile within the company. Can you help them with these things? Can you assure them that yes, you will actually make it a win for them? You will actually help boost their status in the company. You will actually make sure that this project is successful no matter what, and their reputation is not harmed. These things can be more important than the actual deal terms themselves. So when you're approaching a company, trying to find that champion, spend time talking to people, figuring out what they want, what they need, what their role is in the company, what they want as their future. Some people in the company may be actually helping you because they're looking to leave the company and they might want to join your company. So they are willing, and I've had this happen. In big companies, I found people there who wanted to join my company. They didn't say it outright, but in their mind, that was what they were thinking. So they were willing to bend over backwards to help me close that deal in hopes that once I closed that deal, I would be grateful and hire them on. This is something you need to know from the beginning because it can make all the difference in whether the deal closes or whether they go with somebody else. Close transformative deals. When you are doing business development, you need to think about what deals will really matter. There are certain deals out there where if you close them, they will make a small incremental step in your business. And there are other deals out there that will totally transform your business, that will take you to the next level. As the CEO of the company, you need to prioritize your time on the biggest possible deals. All the other little deals, you should send to other people. You should have people, your salespeople, out there dealing with them because they are not worth your time. Your time is the most valuable thing you have. There's only one CEO. You could have lots of salespeople, but one CEO. So you need to make sure every minute of your time is spent moving towards these big deals. Because I will tell you, a transformative deal can do so much for your business that even a lot of little deals, and these little deals may take up a lot of time, but they're just inching you forward. Whereas a transformative deal is like a domino effect. You knock that domino over and then everything else starts to go. Other customers hear about you. There's press and media about you. Investors start wanting to give you money because you closed just the right deal. So don't sit back and just respond to whatever's coming to you. You'll get a lot of different people coming to you. They'll want to talk to you. They may be very passionate, but you need to put on your analytic thinking cap and really analyze them. Are they worth my time? Should I be taking this meeting? Really smart CEOs are always saying, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that meeting. No, I'm going to refer you to somebody else. And they are strategically planning out their path. They are making sure that they're really focused on spending all their time on the few things that can make a quantum difference, a quantum leap in their company. That is what I'm talking about. transformative deals, and your time. Whatever comes at you across the transom isn't necessarily what you're supposed to be focused on. In fact, 98% of that you should not be focused on. You need to put on those filters and be very selective about what you do, what you put your time into, and where that will take your company. Use inbound marketing. In today's world of social media, inbound marketing is so important. It's as important as other types of marketing. So in your company, from day one, when you start, you should have an inbound marketing plan. Now, what is inbound marketing? For those of you who don't know, inbound marketing is when you create content, special content for your customers that they can consume, that they can find out there on the internet. When they do a search on Google, does your website come up first? Why doesn't it come up? Maybe you don't have the right content on your website. There are a lot of ways to reach your customers. It's not just talking about your product. Inbound marketing aren't product videos. They aren't trying to sell the customer something. They are something totally different. Really good inbound marketing is where you figure out how can you create content that solves problems for your customers. Do they have questions about the job they're doing? It may not be directly related to your product or service. It may be something different, but it's a problem that your customers are having. If you can get them a solution to that, then you can start to form a relationship because they consume your content, they actually find value there, they then are introduced to you and your brand and your products and services, and then they may start to go down that inbound marketing funnel towards becoming one of your customers. How do you do this? Well, inbound marketing is different for different platforms. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, it's going to be very different than it for your website, the blog on your website, or whether you put videos on YouTube or you do a podcast. All of these are part of your inbound marketing strategy. And from the beginning, when you launch your startup, you should prioritize inbound marketing. I will tell you why. Some of the best leads you will get will be from inbound marketing. These are people that you can't reach. They're people you might not even know. A lot of times you won't know who they are or how to get a hold of them. But because you create something very valuable that they're searching for online or that somebody shares with them online, all of a sudden they're introduced to you. And then if your thing really helps them, they have a reason to reach out to you. You have that trusted relationship. At Founders Space, we have never spent a single dollar on marketing. All of our marketing comes from referrals, other people, or content that we create. Inbound marketing across all these different social networks. People see our videos, they read our blog posts, all of these things. They read our tweets, and they come to us. Then what we do is we filter them. Now, the key to inbound marketing is getting a lot of inbound leads. You want as many as possible. But you don't respond to all of them because a lot of them won't really help you. What you need to do is then filter them. You put them through a funnel, you filter them, and you figure out which ones go to you as the CEO of the company, who are very important, and which ones go to other people in the company, customer service, sales, other departments in your company. Setting this up from the beginning, an inbound marketing strategy is critical to your sales success. Court the press. If you want to take your company to the next level, courting the press is really important. It's really important because the press can make more difference than almost anything else, especially for an early stage startup. Usually at the beginning, you don't have a lot of money, so traditional marketing doesn't work. But the press can actually do the same thing at a much lower cost. This is because media in our society today is so viral. If it's a good story, if it goes in the right publications, it can just spread. This can help you in so many ways. It can bring in new customers, new investors, strategic partners. All of this can be done through the press. But you have to have a strategy. You have to understand how to court the press. So let me give you a few basic rules. Number one, every journalist is doing a job. And if you want them to cover you, want them to cover your story, you have to make their job easier. That means figuring out what they write about. You should read what they're writing about. What stories are they following? How do you fit into those stories? Are there certain trends they're focused on? Can you give them valuable data about these trends? Or does your story play into this trend in a natural way so that they want to write about you? Can you do some homework for them? If they're focused on a particular industry or a particular subject, can you do a lot of research and actually give that to them as part of your story? And your story is so important. If they're writing a human interest story, if that's the type of journalist they are, is your story exciting? Is it emotional? Can you connect with people? Can you inspire people? What about your past? Why did you start your company? Why is your product so important in society? What does it mean? These are things you have to bring to the surface. So it's easy for the journalist. You want to show the journalist through how you contact them that you figured out the story, the complete story from headline all the way through, so that their job is easier. They're looking for stories. Their job is to hunt for great stories. If you hand it to them on a plate, they will take it if it's right. But if it's not right, they'll just ignore it. You won't get any response. So you need to figure this out. And sometimes it's not the biggest publications out there that matter the most. You have to figure out, what are your customers reading? Where are they? It could be a very niche journal that they're all looking towards for advice. So if that is it, then you should figure out which of these publications will get to the decision makers at the companies, which are your potential customers, and actually target them specifically. Figure out exactly what they need and give it to them. This is called courting the press. And if you do this from the beginning, make it a part of your overall strategy, as you grow, you will reap the rewards. Always ask for referrals. I can't stress this strongly enough. When you are out there doing business, when you have a good relationship with a customer, when you do an excellent job, do not pass up the opportunity to ask for a referral. The best business is generated through word of mouth. This is that trusted bond. If you are doing something with a customer, if they're satisfied with what you've done, then use that opportunity to have them introduce you to more potential customers. It's the easiest way to grow your business. But it's the one thing that I see so many entrepreneurs forget to do. They just don't do it. They just move on to the next thing, but they don't follow up with the customer who is satisfied and ask them for a referral. So do it. Shut up and listen. If you want to close deals, really big deals, the most important thing you can do is shut up. Really, stop speaking. Stop talking all the time and open your ears. Because what you learn about the customer is often much more important than what you say to the customer. Usually, you're going through your standard routine pitch. You're doing your PowerPoint, you're going through the slides, you're doing everything like normal. That is fine, but that's not really the best way to approach big customers. The best way is before you dive into your pitch, you figure out and learn as much as possible. You may want to sit down with them in a casual environment, figure out what they really need, what they really want, what are the different elements of your product that matter the most to them. Then you can come in and do a formal presentation to maybe a larger group. But at the beginning, lay the groundwork. Have these meetings, these one-on-one meetings or small meetings where you're getting together with them and actually listening and asking them questions. The questions you ask them are more important than the information you give them. They can always get that information later. And what you want to do is make sure you're laser focused on addressing their priorities. Only by listening can you even figure out what their priorities really are. A lot of times you'll just assume their priorities are A, B, and C, when it's really D, E, F, Z, some other things entirely. So up front, before you engage deeply with big companies, really do the homework and spend the time listening to them and figuring out who they are, what their strategy is, and how you fit together. Rework your pitch. I like to say a great pitch is never done. It's always a work in progress. When you are going out there to sell your business, your products, your services, you should always be iterating, improving on what you do. The more information you gather, the more you listen, you can actually change and improve how you present your company. Also, with each customer, they may want slightly different things. They may have different needs. They may have a different perspective. So you should constantly be customizing your pitch to a specific customer. Don't give the same pitch to everybody. If you find yourself giving the same PowerPoint over and over and over, you're not doing a great job at selling. Great salespeople are always customizing. They're always adapting. They're always improving. These are the things. This is the mentality you have to really be a rainmaker. Rainmakers are the ones who are closing big deals, and big deals require you to actually spend time, figure out their needs, and then actually adapt all your presentation materials, everything you have, exactly to their needs. So it's something that when they look at, they can't say no. It's a good fit. It's not only a good fit, if you can make it a great fit. And you can only do this by reworking your pitch over and over and over and continually adapting until it's perfect for each customer you go to present to. Sell your strengths. One of the best ways to go out into the marketplace is to sell your strengths. When you go talk to customers, it usually doesn't work very well if you start telling them all the reasons your product is great. And you might have 20 reasons, and you're going through this laundry list of reasons and features and benefits of your product. That doesn't convince people. People aren't convinced by volume. They are convinced by one or two things that you do incredibly well. So what are those things? What are your strengths? You need to know this. What are the reasons that customers come to you? Why do they need your product? Why do they choose you over a competitor? You need to figure this out from the beginning. What do you have that your customers really, really need? And then just focus on these, laser focus. During your sales presentations, remember, it's not giving them a huge amount of information that matters. It's giving them just the right information in just the right way. So, sell your strengths. Make sure your strengths match their needs. If there's a perfect fit, go in there, laser focus, get them to understand your strengths, and the deal will close itself. You won't have to close it. These type of deals, when you get the right match, they just happen. Also, keep in mind that long presentations don't actually help sell deals. In fact, a lot of times I tell entrepreneurs, cut your presentation in half or cut it down by 75%. And they're like, that's impossible. I can't do it. Like, it has to be this long. No, it doesn't. So practice giving really short presentations that just focus on the most important things, the strengths of your company, and leave out everything else. Try to do a 2-minute presentation instead of a 20-minute. It's really hard to do. Cut a 20-minute presentation down to 2 minutes, but actually you will find more often than not the 2-minute presentation does a better job at closing deals than the 20-minute. First of all, it focuses just on your strengths, just on what you know the customer really needs from your company that differentiates you from all the competitors. Second, because it's 2 minutes, it gives you time to interact. After you're done, you can answer their questions, you can engage them, you can go back and forth. This is really important. Sell your strengths. You can't change believers. I have a rule of thumb. Don't waste your time on believers. If somebody believes something that isn't in line with what you're selling, it's going to be extremely hard process to actually convert them over to believing what you believe. So if you believe that your type of product is really necessary, but they don't believe that, even if it is, even if it's true, it would really help them, you are going to waste a lot of time trying to convince them otherwise. I have seen this with startups where they're just going after some customers who really don't believe in them. They don't believe that their solution is really necessary. If this is the case, don't waste your time. Cut them loose. You need to focus on people who already want what you have. The really smart salespeople, the really smart entrepreneurs realize that it's much easier and a much better use of their time to focus on people who've already converted. They already see the value of their product. All they have to do is introduce it to them. And they're like, oh, they don't have to spend a long time convincing them. If you find yourself trying to convince customers that they need your product, you are on a failed mission, because it is going to take you far too much time and resources to convert them into paying customers. Your business will never just take off. It'll never grow into a big business that way. You need to find the target customers who are already converted. They are already believers in you. They just don't know you exist, and you need to get in front of them and show them what you have. That is the key. Finding believers, not converting believers. You cannot change believers. Data is worth 1,000 words. When you're going into a customer, when you're showing them your product or service, when you're making claims, you need to back up those claims with data. Just saying it isn't good enough. Anybody can say anything, but in your presentation, you have to show why. Why does it work? How? What are the numbers that make this real for them? So gathering data is a key part of sales, and preparing that data in a way that is really easy for your potential customers to understand, and it actually proves the points you are making. I cannot tell you what a big difference data makes in convincing me. When people come up to sell me something, they can say whatever they think, but if they actually show me the numbers are there, proving that I'll get a 30% efficiency gain by an independent source that I can verify, then I'm interested. Them just telling me it's 30%, I'll be skeptical. But them showing me the data and actually showing me where it came from, this is important. So when you're preparing your sales presentations, always back up each of your claims with solid data. Put it on the roadmap. When you are going out there to do sales, a lot of customers will start asking you for features or things you haven't even built yet. They'll say, can you do this? Can you do that? Because they have specific needs. Some of them just like to ask. They're just making it up. They think they may need this or they may need that. And it's always tempting when you want to close a deal to say, yes, no problem, we can do that. But be careful. If you promise stuff you can't deliver, it's a nightmare. It can kill a startup. I've seen startups die because they overpromise and they simply cannot deliver. And the deal falls apart. It wastes a huge amount of time. Don't trap yourself in the corner. One of the keys that I always use to get out of this situation when I feel trapped because they're asking me, can you do this? We really want this, but I know we cannot deliver it. I tell them, look, here's our product roadmap. This is where we are now. This is what we can get you now. We can put your request on the product roadmap for the future, and I will do that. I will make sure it's on our roadmap. But I want to be clear that this is what we deliver now, and we'll get started with that. You'll get to use that, and then we'll start to work in the priorities that you have. This is key. If you do this, if you push it off to the future, but don't say no, it allows you you don't want to say no to your customer. No, we could never do that. No, you just say, look, I will do my best to get it on our roadmap so that in the future, we can prioritize it as one of the features that we deliver to you. But right now, this is what you get. Doing that is a much smarter way than actually making a promise you can't keep. That's a disaster. Or saying, no, we can't do that. Because that's a reason for them to say, well, then I'll look for somebody else. Remember, put it on the roadmap. Everything is negotiable. Say this to yourself before you enter into any negotiation. You do not want to stop yourself from asking for something that you could get that is really valuable to you. When negotiating, you should have everything on the table. You may even want to ask for things you don't need so that you can trade them later. So ask for stuff, even if you know you can't get it. Even if you know in these type of deals, they always get those terms. still ask for it. And then later, for something else that you want, you can bargain, you can trade. Everything should be on the table. Everything should be negotiable. I have done hundreds and hundreds of deals in my lifetime and mentored so many startups. And I will tell you, there are no rules. You think there are rules. You think this is the way things should be done. But things, if the person you're negotiating with really needs the deal for whatever reason, they are going to negotiate. I will tell you, when I started my first company, I was making a game. We were independent software developers. We had made this new game. We're going to one of the biggest software publishing companies in the world. Now, normally, if they're going to even look at a small developer like us, they would get all the rights. But in this situation, I wanted to retain the rights to this game because I knew this game was very valuable to me, and it turned out to be extremely valuable to me. But they were a huge publisher, and they may forget about the game after a year or two, and it may die when I could still be making money off of it. So I wanted to have the rights all revert to me in a couple years. Sure enough, I figured out that they really needed my game to be launched before Christmas. So they wanted to compress the time of the negotiation. So I told them that I need these rights to revert to me. And they pushed back, but they couldn't push back too long because the clock was ticking. And eventually, by being stubborn, I managed to secure those rights. So I retained all the rights, 100% reverted back to me. Even though this is very unusual, in your situation, in whatever situation you're in, keep that in mind. If you really want something, you can probably get it. There may be a way for you to get it. Don't cross it off the list just because you think it's impossible. Everything is negotiable. Poker face. When negotiating, keep a poker face. Do not show them if you are really desperate. Do not show them if you really need something because they will use it against you. I can guarantee you, I've been in this situation, especially on large financing deals. The other party, if they know you need the money and you're trying to raise it from them, they will squeeze you. I have entrepreneurs that come up to me quite often and they will say, Steve, I really need you to invest. You know, our company's on the point of going bankrupt. If you don't invest, we're going to go bankrupt. Well, this doesn't help them. In fact, it scares investors. It scares me. Well, if they're about to go bankrupt, I don't know if I want to put my money into this company. Honestly, even if they don't want to squeeze you, keeping a poker face is better. You should not reveal what it is and what position you're in at any time during the negotiation. Instead, you should just focus on the terms. I have been in that position. I was in a startup. We were desperate. We had run out of money. I was begging my employees to stay on. We were on the verge of bankruptcy. But when I went into that negotiation to close the deal, I was cool. I was like, things are great. They could not tell at all the position we are in. In fact, when it came time to negotiate it, I negotiated that deal like I would any deal. I was even telling them, no, we don't need so much money. We can wait. You can give us less money. We want a higher valuation. Pushing for the things I wanted, even in the face of a company that was about to implode. And do you know what? Actually, by keeping that poker face, by negotiating as if nothing was wrong, as if we were fine, as if we could last another year on the cash we had, I managed to close that deal in record time and get the terms I wanted. It's not the position you're actually in. It's the position they think you're in that makes the difference. And the stronger you appear, the more confident you appear, the better off you will be. Be fair. It's really important when you're negotiating to be fair. Honestly, if this is a long-term relationship with your strategic partner, you don't want a deal that is lopsided, where you use your leverage, where you get everything you can get, and it actually turns out to be a bad deal for them. Because in the end, they're going to break off that relationship, or they're simply not going to honor it. They're not going to honor the terms. It will not benefit you if they are ending up on the losing side of the stick. You need to make it somewhat fair, balance it out so that there's a win for them and there's a win for you. When I do business, I always want my partners to win, right? I always want them to make money. I actually think about this. I'll push for the terms I really want, the terms I really need. But at the same time, I want to make sure they're getting enough so that the deal is worth it for them. Because at the end of the day, if something isn't worth it, it's going to fall apart. So be fair when negotiating. In the end, more will come back to you. You'll have longer lasting relationships and you will make more money in the long run by treating your partners fairly rather than getting the best deal possible. Push for a no. One of my great sales mentors told me, when you're out there trying to close deals, don't try to get them to say yes. Don't push and push and push for them to say yes. In fact, do the opposite. Push for them to say no. And I was like, what? You want them to say no? They don't want the deal? And he's like, yeah. If you can't get them to say no, they have to say yes. It's reverse psychology in action. Let me give you an example. There's a customer you have. You've shown them your product. You've given them all the information they need to make a decision, but they aren't coming back with a yes. They are like asking for more information. They can't decide. They're taking their time. Whatever it is, you should go back to them. And instead of saying, we need a yes, we need you to buy this, what do you need? You should say the opposite. You should say, look, if you're not interested, just tell me now, because we are really busy. We have other customers that we need to prioritize. Right now, we're prioritizing you. We're giving you our time and resources, but you need to give us an answer now. And honestly, if you can't give us an answer in a reasonable amount of time, we're going to have to move on. We can't take your business. Pushing for a no, getting them to tell you no sooner rather than later is actually beneficial to you. Because honestly, if they're going to tell you no now, they would have told you that in 3 months. The big difference is you didn't waste 3 months talking to them, trying to close this deal. You figured it out right away. So my strategy is always go to a customer, give them as much information as you can right up front so that they have that information, so that they know what your product is. They know the value. You see the fit. And if they can't say yes, then forget it. Like after that, you start pushing for a no. So first you push for a yes, you give them everything. And then if they can't say yes, you say, okay, I'm moving on. You either let me know now, or I'm going to go focus on other people and other customers. And you might not get this deal. It might not happen with you. That puts them in a seat where suddenly they're on the fence and they have to make a decision. They have to go one way or the other. And you're getting that information is critical. Because remember, it's not closing every deal that matters. It's closing the most deals, the most important deals in the minimum amount of time. And to get those deals closed, you need decisions. Always push for a no. 3 strikes. I like to compare pitching your company, pitching your product to customers to baseball, where you give them 3 pitches, 3 times that you meet with them and give them your pitch. Explain to them everything they need to know to make the buying decision. And if they haven't hit the ball by the 3rd time, they are out. You move on, cross them off your list, and don't look back. Because honestly, after 3 presentations, 3 pitches to a company where they have all the information to make a decision, if they aren't making a decision, usually the chance of closing starts to go down. And it doesn't go down gradually, it goes down exponentially. So the more time you invest in trying to get them to say yes, the chance of them closing is less and less and less until it approaches 0. You don't want to be in that position where you're wasting a lot of time with a company to try to get them to say yes when the chance is very small. Remember, it's not closing every deal that matters. That isn't what makes you successful. What makes you successful is closing the right deals in the least amount of time. So if somebody isn't working out, don't keep chasing them. They're out. Forget about them and move on. There are plenty of other people, plenty of other fish in the sea that you can go out and catch. And you should be focused on those. 3 strikes and the customer is out. Raise the bar. The really true rainmakers out there, the ones that make it rain money, they are natural closers. They didn't get there by accident. They got there by hard work. They got there by raising the bar. They are always challenging themselves to do better. Now, I'm not saying raise the bar so much that you are destined to fail. That's not good for you. But raise it incrementally. Every single time you go out there and succeed, then ask yourself, what could I do better? What could have I done? How could have I given a better pitch? How could have I provided better information? How could have I closed the deal faster to reduce the sales cycle? How could have I been more efficient with my time? Ask yourself these questions and put them as goals to work on. You need goals. You should always be focused on improving. No matter how good a salesperson you are, I guarantee you, you could be better. And you will only get better by raising the bar. So raise the bar after each pitch, after each success. Go back, analyze everything you did, everything about you, and say, how can I be the best salesperson in the world? How can I make that bar so high that nobody but me can jump over it? That's what I want you to do. I hope you enjoyed the talk. If you liked it, you can come to founderspace.com. You can check out our latest events, contact us, and see my latest books, Make Elephants Fly, Surviving a Startup, and The 5 Forces. You can also find me on all the major social networks. Just search for Founderspace.